What's up, guys? Happy Tuesday. Chuck Silver and Nick Marro here with Occupy Fantasy to bring you the strategy for DraftKings and FanDuel. We had a really dumb slate yesterday. All the JJJ, he got hurt in the first minute, put up 0 fantasy points. It's unfortunate. We've been cursed lately, lots of injuries. Like these kind of things might start happening a little bit more often. It's just not necessarily guys getting hurt, but less incentive to coming back into the game with how late it is into the season. Good teams want to be healthy for the playoffs, bad teams want to lose. But Nick, we got a pretty decent one today. FanDuel has 2 extra games. DraftKings cut off the 2. So how are we feeling about today's slate, and what do you want to mention about yesterday's disaster?
Yeah, man. I mean, not only was it JJJ, I had a ton of Kyrie. We talked about how Maxey was hurt, so I think we mostly dodged that bullet. But yeah, man. Funny, someone brought up Kai Jones on the stream, and I was once again completely crapped all over him as a player, and he went off after those injuries for Dallas. So that's the second time Moses Brown has burnt me on Dallas, and now Kai Jones. So we like to celebrate when we win. I'm also proud to wear my L's, and did not see Kai Jones coming in off the street and having a career game, but is what it is. We're on to today. Uh,
He had a couple early pieces of injury news, so we can work with that. And then there's a couple spots I think that the industry is projecting minutes wrong. Cleveland is a big one. And then Hurdle, I think, is going to be a pretty strong choice tonight as well. But let's just jump into this first game. We already got some news from Houston, so go ahead and walk us through that.
Yeah, so no Van Fleet, but we did just minutes ago hear that Sangoon, Thompson, Brooks are all going to be available to play tonight. Houston did play last night, but they actually rested most of their starters. So we saw guys like Reed Shepard and Cam Whitmore absolutely going off. Do not go back to them today. Not only were the starters out, but some of the backups as well. Like the rotation was just so thin. This is a completely different spot, but it is a good spot. So pretty high total here, paced up against Indiana. I fine getting to Green. Thompson, whose ownership has fallen through the floor. No one wants to play him anymore. I'm totally fine playing him here. And then Sengun looks good. I mean, there's a lot of decent centers on this slate, as there often are. He's definitely one of them, though, who could go a bit overlooked here. So, yeah, I like the starters. It's tough to choose between Smith and Eason. Probably just will avoid that one. But you got Brooks for cheap, and then I feel pretty good about the other three there. Great spot for the Rockets.
Yeah, real quick, just before we get any further into this, how interested are you in like saving spots for later versus taking shots on these guys right now? Because I agree, I think they're just tournament shots, but I'm pretty okay just having very little exposure here. I think.
Yeah, that's killed us the other night, right? When we faded Golden State and Curry and
Yeah.
Banchero both went for like 90. But yeah, man, I think I want to mix them in. And again, I'd rather play chalk value than chalk payups. If all these Houston guys are going to be low owned, like I probably will avoid a Dylan Brooks per se, but like Thompson, if no one's playing him, Sengun if he's under owned, those are the types of plays I'm fine getting to, just making sure I have maneuverability around them. But yeah, to your point, there is some news we're waiting on. Not as much as I initially thought in terms of things that are going to open up in a big way, but yeah, I like the payups, but probably just leave out a guy like Brooks because we will probably get a better play in that price range.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was going to say for DK value, Dylan Brooks is showing up as the top
I mean,
DK
he's
value on
good
this team at two
on
percent.
paper, yeah.
Yeah, projected for good minutes is the main thing. I have about 5% in my initial run right now, but the spot that I'm looking at on this team, actually, I didn't realize I was getting over the field on Tari Eason. That's the one guy here that I'm super interested in if he starts, because Jabari Smith might start too, but probably whoever starts, I'm just going to want to play more of, assuming one of them does anyway.
Well, that's the tricky thing. I prefer Eason as a player, but I'm like 80% sure that Smith's going to be the one who gets to start. So it's kind of
Okay.
tricky. The minutes have just been all over the place. Eason spikes the ceiling more often than not, even coming off the bench. But I do think Smith's floor is a little bit higher as the starter. So again, they're kind of in that mid range. I'm hoping we get better mid range plays, but I can't fault you. I think one of them has a good game. It's just which one of the two.
And assuming one of them does start, I got to think Amon Thompson is running the point because it's going to be Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green, Sengun, Thompson, and then one of Smith or Eason. So if Amon Thompson's running the point, I'm even more on board with him as a tournament play, like you mentioned.
Yeah, he's like fallen off everyone's radar because he had a couple iffy games, and then Van Fleet was in for a few of those. Um, yeah, I'm going right back to the well. I mean, 10.4 OF index isn't great, but 1% owned on DK. It's very easy to just put him in a lineup or two and get over the field.
Other side of this game, Indiana. By the way, Indiana's at home, 232 total. It's a 4 point spread in Indiana's favor. We have Isaiah Jackson out, and Benedict Mathurin got ruled out, I think, about a half hour ago. So we're mostly healthy over in Indiana. Andrew Nemhard is the chalk. Miles Turner's pulling a lot of ownership. Where's Naismith? Naismith's pulling some ownership. Model's not as into him though. What are you looking at on Indiana?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think Naismith's getting love is because small forward's pretty disgusting tonight. I think that's the main reason. Nemhard is overowned to me. Like, I think he's a fine play, very similar to Dylan Brooks. Like, what's the Brooks ownership? I'd almost rather play Brooks. They're super similar plays, in my opinion. Just not a guy you can rely on for upside consistently. He does have it in his bag, but we only get it like once a week. So, do we really want to jam that in at like 30%? I don't personally. Matherin's been out for a while. His minutes have been kind of restricted too. So this isn't this like huge vacuum for minutes and usage that it might have been at other times during the season. So I'm not seeing why the field's getting there, especially in the first game. To your point earlier, maybe some news opens up and we get a lot of better plays than Nemhard. So that's one I'm pretty comfortable fading. If it kills me, it kills me. But it's rare that a play like that's killing you.
I don't disagree. Yeah, I with that. If you don't play him, what can he do that kills us? But I am over the field right now. The main thing is 37 minutes, 2 games in a row. Those minutes should be there. We haven't projected for 32. We can never project him for 37 because we're just going to get 100%. But I do think his minutes are kind of under projected around the industry. So the ownership does make sense. Model's identifying him as the strongest value on this team. It's always going to identify Miles Turner as a strong value, but what you're saying about Naismith, yeah, I mean, the 18%, I'm more comfortable fading Naismith than Nemhard, and the model approves of that, and I say that and watch it be the opposite. But
Yeah. I mean, the minutes from Naismith are up. I actually think if, over the course of a season, if he was 100% healthy, they'd be pretty similar points per minute. But yeah, right now I just don't trust either. And to your point earlier, I mean, if we're waiting on news, this is the first game on the slate. It's pretty easy to just kind of wait and hope we get some other plays in the 4K range.
yeah, so I am going to artificially kind of dock that because I agree with you. We definitely want to wait for some stuff later. This cat got ruled out.
Ooh.
It's a fun one. We'll see what happens there. What's your interest level in Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam?
I mean, I'm fine with them. Halliburton's been playing really well. Not the best match for him or Siakam here, really. I think they're kind of priced appropriately. There's other good guards on this slate. I don't know. I'm fairly neutral, honestly. If anything, I'd try to get some Nemhard just because he tends to come in under owned, even projected under owned, and we have him at 4%. So you're getting a guy with 50-point upside at like
You
five.
said Nemhard, but you meant Halliburton, right?
I meant Halliburton. Yeah, I was
Okay.
just reading Nemhard's name while I said that. So error there on my part. 100% meant Halliburton, not Nemhard. But yeah, he's been consistently hitting a ceiling lately, which it's taken a while for him to do. Maybe he's getting healthy. And I've joked before, maybe it's because he's engaged and he's not playing on the road as much. But this is a home game regardless.
Yeah, I'm interested in. I have to force him in. I didn't get any naturally, but we've seen the ceiling and
Yeah.
nice. Let's go to the next game: Toronto and Orlando. We have a pretty small spread. Orlando fell off, huh? They were one of the better teams in the NBA, I thought, and now I don't think they're that great anymore. But let's start with Toronto. They're 7.5 point underdogs, just 208 total, second lowest total we've had all season. We have some value plays though here. Were you looking at Quickly or Pirtle?
I know you like Pirtle.
Love Pirtle today.
Yeah, I don't love the matchup. That's the biggest issue. 207-point total. They're somewhat healthy. Um, I don't know. Grady Dick is out, but what does that really do? Like, it creates a few extra minutes for someone like Jacoby Walter, maybe, but I don't know. I actually think Walter's an interesting punt. Probably won't get to him in my first few lineups. I don't mind the man, but again, it's just Orlando's kind of poison for opposing offenses, generally speaking.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. My big thing is that I don't think the industry's adjusted for Pirtle coming off his minutes restriction. He was in foul trouble last
Mm,
game.
that's a good
26
call.
minutes. He lost a few minutes that rotation in the third quarter. Like if this got up to 30 and he's under projected by like 4 or 5 minutes around the industry, I guess we're higher on him than everyone else. So this is pretty good. Model agrees he's a good value, but he's projected for 0% ownership. So this is not a play you jam in a bunch. I have 7% right now, and I'm pretty comfortable with that. I'm going to be way over the field with that.
Yeah, they played this team last time out, right? He had a really good game. 11 boards. Definitely had a double double, and he only played 26 minutes. So yeah, if he gets to 30, the upside's there. I won't argue with it.
Yeah, so again, he's one of my favorite GPP plays of the day, but I'm not going to have even like 20% of him. That's too much of a risk, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Over on FanDuel 7,200, I'm not as interested at all. But DK, I like it. And then RJ Barrett, the model's not really into it, but at 7,100, I'm okay taking some shots. But again, you can probably just skip it since it's Orlando in the early game.
Yeah, again, these guys are kind of neutral. And again, Grady Dick's out, but that's not really doing a ton for me in terms of creating opportunity.
Let's go to the other side, Orlando. Cole Anthony is questionable. We're still without Jalen Suggs and Mo Wagner. We saw Franz and Paolo be kind of chalky last time. I mean, it's a good matchup. It's the same matchup we just had. They're both pulling around the same ownership, around the same price. What do you want to do with them today?
I'm fine with one or the other. Definitely wouldn't want them in the same lineup. I think they're good, but again, you're kind of locking up those early spots. Like I'd rather play Thompson, I think, than either of them. More so just because of the game environment, and I imagine he's lower owned than them still, even with the ownership discount. So I'm fine with them, but again, very much neutral. And I know that's kind of a lame answer, but that's the truth of it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to necessarily fade them, although I lean towards getting less rather than getting over. But maybe the rest of the
Yeah,
field thinks that way. Model says they're not great points per dollar, just over a 10.0 OF index, which is fine at their price, but they're not someone that we have to jump to get to. Model still says Cole Anthony's the best points per dollar play on this team at 5%. He's questionable. If I get a few percent, I'm okay. I'm okay if I get no exposure to anyone else here, though.
yeah. If he's out, he's still questionable, right? They don't
Yeah.
have Suggs, who was shut down for the season. Anthony Black would be tempting as a value play, not something I'd be rushing to though.
Yeah, we could project Black for a lot more minutes, but and I'm sure the rates will change if Cole Anthony's taken out. But right now, just looking at 21 minutes, let's say you wanted to give him 30, just to make the math easy, bump this up by plus 50%, and I guess that's right around where Cole Anthony is. So he'd end up being an okay play. I want to see what the model does though.
Yeah, it'd be neutral again.
Milwaukee and Atlanta. 5.5 points, 242.5. Very strong total. We got our boy Brook Lopez, top of value every day. He's hitting value every day, and no one wants to play him. Giannis at the top. What are you looking at on Milwaukee?
I mean, there's not a ton to actually pay up for on this slate. I think if we get a little bit more value, I'll have more and more Giannis, especially on DK where you don't have Luca or LeBron in that late game. 20% owned. I'm surprised he's not more popular. This is a really good matchup for him. And again, no Bobby Portis, which has kind of created opportunity in the front court for both him and Lopez, who always goes overlooked. Lillard getting some love. I'm fine with him. I just think there's more pivots for Lillard than there are for Giannis necessarily. So I would rather get to Giannis than anything here, but you know me, I'll be mixing in Splash Mountain, better known as Brook Lopez.
Yeah, same for me. Over the field on Brook, and I'm paying up a ton for Giannis. Love this matchup
Yeah,
against Atlanta. I think the price came up a couple hundred, but the ownership is pretty reasonable, so we'll be getting there. Torian Prince showing up as the like low owned, really good points per dollar play, projected for 28 minutes. I don't think I'm going to get there much. Rather wait and take the risk that something better opens up later.
yeah. I mean, he's been better since they've kind of slid him to the two with Kuzma starting now. Like Kuzma's kind of the true wing there. It's worked out so far, but yeah, this is the type of play I don't play, and then when I finally do, he burns me. So I'm kind of hesitant to get there, even if he's playing 30 minutes.
Let's go to the other side, Atlanta, then we'll jump to some of these questions in the chat. Onyeka Kongwu, I love seeing this guy near the top of value because it just like okay, I can play as much of him as I want. Projected for 21% on DK. The price is just too low, 6,200 even at center only. He's projected for 31 minutes. We finally saw him overtake Capella completely. Capella's bottom of the model. He could still be worth like some pivots, I guess, but Kongwu's the guy I'm looking at here, and then Ricochet at 6% ownership. I'm definitely interested. If he was like 20%, I would not be at all. But at 6%, I'm going to take shots again.
Yeah, this is like the team of taking shots. Like I like the value here. I just don't trust any of it like individually in a vacuum. But Ricochet, Levert, and Man, I've said this last time. I think all three of them have really good upside point per dollar in a matchup like this with a very high total. Probably won't want more than one in a lineup. I guess you could maybe go to if you were desperate. But yeah, I think all three of those guys have upside. I think Ricochet probably the favorite of the group. He's been the most consistent as the starter. But we've seen Levert put up some pretty huge games, and yeah, Man always goes overlooked. He's very, very cheap on a slate. We don't have a ton of great guard value, so I'm fine mixing him in as well. You're just Yang. I mean, if you want another one, kind of fits that group. They have pretty good bench depth now, excuse me, especially with Jalen Johnson out. These guys are getting opportunities, but night to night, it's just tough to know which of the group is going to be the one. But I do think they're all kind of serviceable as like last pieces in type plays.
Yeah, I'll mention the three guys I'm getting the most from this team are Niang, Levert, and Ricochet. More of Niang. I think that's probably just due to the position more than anything. Although Ricochet is
Yeah.
the same position, just a little more expensive. But yeah, the Karras went off yesterday. Ricochet went off. The big thing is Ricochet's minutes are trending up because a big thing with me was he wasn't closing every game, but now it just seems like, I mean, he shot 85% from the field yesterday, but I'm
Yeah,
still going to go
for sure.
there. What about
Mhm.
Dyson Daniels? Still strong DK value. Ownership is not as low as I'd like it to be.
Yeah, I'm fine with him. I think he's kind of priced about where he should be. I mean, there's a lot of decent guard plays in that range. We're about to talk about Garland. I mean, we already talked about Jalen Green. He's in that group for me. On FanDuel, where you get the extra points for steals, which is what makes Daniels really good. He's more expensive, but I'm fine with him on DK. The price is up, but probably not as much as it should
Nice.
be. Yeah, Okongwu is my favorite Hawk, though. Just want to finish with that.
Okay, nice. I feel like Okongwu's my favorite Hawk. I don't know that I'll have the most exposure to him out of this team, though. But
Yeah.
just looking at it, he's the guy I feel best about.
Yep.
Well, Ricochet at 6%, it feels bad, but if he's good, right?
Yeah, and I mean, he's a great pivot to Nemhard. Like, it's a very
Yeah.
similar play.
Drummond or no Drummond? Sixers the next game. We're a couple games away from the Sixers. Are we playing Drummond today?
I think on DK I will. Um,
I imagine I am. Yeah.
it's like I don't know. I don't know that we can expect 55 again. He absolutely crushed last night, but it's going to be tough for them not to kind of let him get a little bit more run here now that they know Embiid's shut down. Um, yeah, I'd say yes. Just keep an eye on the ownership. If he gets super chalky, that's the type of play maybe you want to get away from.
What's up, Heath? Boy, join the Discord. If you want to be like Heath and join our Discord, share your successes, tilt your whatevers. Instructions are in the Discord below.
Till you're whatever. Just love that.
I mean, we all tilt together. We all understand the pain, so it's a community of people that can be in
Yeah,
pain
yeah.
together sometimes.
Commiserate or celebrate. It's yeah.
Celebrate once in a while, once a week. Dylan Brooks, be zealous or Struce? You have a preference there?
Um, I mean, I like so much other Cleveland. It is a great spot for Struce. If you have no Cleveland in your lineup, I'd say Struce. Otherwise, I would probably go Brooks.
I'm gonna
Zealous
go.
is good too, though. Like they're all close. Yeah,
I'm gonna go off the board and say DeAndre Hunter. It's my favorite play here for sure. If you can find the extra few $100s, otherwise Buse Ellis and Brooks are pretty much the same. I mean, they're all essentially the same on the model. Not really much of a difference between them at all.
yeah,
Brooks
yeah.
is the lowest owned.
That makes sense. Yeah, like I said, I mean, there's better plays from Cleveland. Like some of the core plays on this slate are with Cleveland. But if you were building a really contrarian lineup, I think Struce is a good way to maybe try to get some leverage on that.
Yeah, we'll try and find a couple value plays that maybe the field's not getting to, but it is tougher today right now. But like we said, we've had stuff opening up every single day, and I just got news that Steph is still a game time decision, so that would open up a few pieces there, even though the minutes are
Yeah,
going to be spread out and terrible.
pods.
Yeah, pods, and I'm thinking Moses Moody's the guy that the model's going to tell us to play.
Yeah, Moody's going to start anyway, but I think the bigger boost would be for pods. But
Yeah, and Precious been a DNP. Robinson's capped at low minutes. They could go small and start Deuce. It's a good call because Deuce would definitely open
mm,
up a lot of value that we need because he's a play that we could feel pretty comfortable playing 100% of if he, or close to 100 if he starts.
if Deuce starts, that's my favorite value play. Yeah. If
Philly, are we on Philly yet? Let's just jump to this next game. Oh, we're on Golden State right now. Nice. So
yeah,
let's talk about it as if Steph plays, right? Since it's what we should do.
yeah. I mean, it's in the Garden. You'd think you'd want to go if you can.
I'm getting 3% exposure total to this team, 1% each of Draymond, Heald, and Pods. Now, that will change before lock, but just to express that I'm not really getting much of anything here. Do you want to be different than that?
I mean, if Steph's in, not really. I
Yeah.
do like Steph. I think he's worth mixing into your guard exposure if he's in. Again, shooters love the Garden. It's just a thing. He's been crushing, and it's all been road games. So, yeah, I really do like Steph if he's in. He would be my favorite here. Otherwise, I don't have interest in much. I think Moody's kind of similar to those guys who were listed with Brooks and Struce and Buzelis. Like he's just another one of those kind of mid-range value plays you don't feel great about, but you can use him. Pods, if Steph is out, he's flashed tons of upside. I don't mind him as a tournament play, but against the Knicks, it's just tough to feel great about anything here for Golden State.
Yeah, I guess there's nothing to talk about if Steph's in. So, yeah, if Steph's out, I mean, we're going to see all these values go up and we'll like them more. But that's why you should sign up for occupyfantasy.com so you can see the model updates yourself post lock. We have plans starting at as little as $7 a week. That's $1 a day. Gets you access to the plug for the sports that we offer them for, which is most of them except NBA, and then the model for basically all the DFS sports. Let's go to the other side with New York. Yeah, so should we talk about this as if?
Well,
Well,
Cat's
let's.
out.
Yeah, well, who's starting though? Let's give a couple scenarios.
Um, it could be Mitch Robinson, but I think that's the most likely. But he's still going to play limited minutes. Precious has been DNP'd. I think he's probably going to have to get some run here. It's not like Tibbs doesn't like him. But I do still think, even if he doesn't start, McBride probably benefits the most. So, yeah, I'm guessing it's Brunson, Bridges, Hart, OG, Robinson. McBride comes off the bench. But, yeah, I don't think Robinson plays enough minutes to where he's viable for DFS coming off 2 games where he hasn't even hit 15. And Golden State's pretty small too to power his points. So more than anything, I think it would be McBride. I'm hoping almost that he comes off the bench to keep the ownership down. But we've seen these games without Cat. Brunson has massive upside. I definitely want to get a little bit more of him now. Hard as well. His biggest games this year, I think, have come without Cat.
Yeah, it's kind of like, so we've been talking about the backups McBride, Achua, Mitchell Robinson, but we really need to look at the main guys because all their minutes are just going to be 40 or above, and so I
Yes,
think
Tibbs.
yeah, I think we just bump up everybody here. I feel like the model's still adjusting, and usually the minutes start out too high on these guys that are adjusting. I actually kind of think these are too low across the board. All of these.
Yeah, I mean, I think the model tries to avoid going over 40, but yeah, Hart and OG are at 39 now. Brunson, 12.70 off index is definitely solid. He's third ranked on the slate now, including the FanDuel game. So, if anything, the model first is telling us to get more Brunson.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if the field is going to look at this as a spot where they can find some value from maybe Mitchell, Precious, or uh, McBride, but I kind of don't want to force that. I think I just want to go over on all the four other guys.
Yeah, like I said, I think Robinson starts. If Dibs were to suddenly throw Precious in there, he would be pretty appealing. I don't think that's a likely scenario, though.
The thing with Robinson, we have him projected for 14 minutes. Like, I don't even know if his body's capable of playing more than 20. Like, he
Yeah,
hasn't
he's
in a
going to take the
while.
tip offs and play like 5 minute stints. Yeah, I think he'll play 15.
So, like, if he starts to pull a bunch of ownership, I think we kind of want to get away, but
Yeah,
he's showing 0% right now. We'll see if that updates if he's announced as starting.
yeah, I think people know better. I mean, he's coming back from a long injury.
Yeah, it's a good point, Josh. Who plays center if Dew starts? No way. I mean, if it's Draymond on the other side, but it's not something they've done. You're right. Yeah, they just start Precious if they want to go small. Next game is Cleveland Chicago. I think this is one of the more interesting games because I'm on kind of the same thing that I just said about New York. I think all of Cleveland's minutes are under projected, all the starters, and then DeAndre Hunter projected for 28 minutes. There's no Mobley today, and so Jared
Yeah.
Allen's the top value play on the slate. He's the chalkiest player on both sites, which is probably correct, but this is insanely incorrect. 5% for DeAndre Hunter. Now, I'd be surprised if he came in this low, but the model's telling us he's one of the absolute best value plays on the slate, probably one of the best plays overall. 8.4 OF index. Ty Jerome's up here with an 8.5 OF index. I don't feel as good about him, but apparently the field does, projected for way more ownership. But I'm pretty interested in getting to everybody here.
Yeah, same. Everybody. Mitchell looks excellent. He's had massive games with Mobley out. He went off against Boston. Guards tend to do well against Boston, though. Garland, fine. I think you can mix him in. I would much rather get to Mitchell if you can find the salary. But yeah,
Same.
Hunter, I'm seeing projected to start a lot of places. He's very, very appealing as value. And Allen should do whatever he wants here. This is like the smash spot of all smash spots against Zach Collins. So, yeah, I mentioned Struce earlier as like a last piece in. And then to speak on Ty Jerome, I mean, anything over 25 minutes for him, he should be able to hit value at this price. We have him at 24. To your point, I do think we're a little bit low coming off a game against Portland where he played 35. I don't think that's something that will be replicated here. But yeah, I really like Jerome. Allen, aptly chalk. Hunter, imagining he starts is ridiculously underowned, I think.
Even if he like, I actually don't even. I kind of think I want him to come off the bench because I want his ownership to stay low. I think the field is completely missing this spot. The model's not though. Like the Occupy model is telling us to get there anti Jerome, which is kind of insane for these guys. Like, just look
Oh,
at
yeah.
who they're higher than on absolute. Like, OF Index is not price sensitive, so this is kind of just rating absolute ceiling type. It's the way you can kind of think about it. But like Ty Jerome is higher than Mikal Bridges, Draymond, Kuzma, RJ Barrett, Stephon Castle, Oubre. Like, I guess it's not as extreme as I thought, but they still stand out to me as strong plays.
One more huge point on Ty Jerome. We always talk about Pritchard, how he's like that perfect hybrid of if the game's close or if it blows out, he's going to be heavily involved. Whenever any starter's out, he becomes very appealing. That's the spot for Ty Jerome here. Even if this game gets out of hand, he probably plays into the fourth quarter. So you're kind of hedged in that way. So I like him a lot for that reason.
This could very easily be the closing lineup. Now, keep in mind, it's a 12.5 point spread against Chicago, 243.5 total. I don't think Chicago is completely terrible, so hopefully they just keep it close. But I could see this 5 closing for sure, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Struess. Like, I actually kind of think Isaac Okoro probably starts, right? Because they've been doing that. But yeah,
They might want size, though. I mean,
Dean,
it
you
would
think
be
they'd start
Dean
Dean Wade?
Wade or Hunter. If they go to a Coro, I'd be surprised just because Buzelis is next to Collins. But
Okay.
I don't know. We got
Okay.
to wait and see.
And Struess is probably going to be in the
Struz is
starting
definitely
lineup
going to
still.
start. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I wonder if he's going to get forgotten a little bit. I don't know. Just watch these ownerships going
yeah.
into lock because if Jerome and DeAndre Hunter start to creep up anymore, Struz is going to be nice as a pivot. I do agree that other two are stronger plays though. Other side of the game, Chicago. We've had like 12 games. I don't want to exaggerate. 6 games in a row of Josh Giddey putting up 50 fantasy points. He's 8,400. I still think the price is pretty great to get to. He's questionable. Kevin Werder's questionable. Lonzo Ball, Kobe White's probable, and Dosunmu and Vooch are out. Patrick Williams is also out. This team's a mess. I don't see how they keep it close, but can they?
I mean, they could. It's a home game, close enough. I mean, I would still pick Cleveland to win most cases, but yeah, if Giddy's in, he's had massive games. A lot of those have come with AO out. Obviously, no Vooch. He would be a guy I'm very comfortable getting to. I'm thinking most of these guys are in. Like, I don't expect them to sit. But yeah, Giddy looks great as it is. If he's out, then Kobe White would have to be someone you're getting to. It's not going to be a good matchup, but at that price, the ceiling is just really, really solid. Back to back games over 35 ish fantasy points. And extra usage for him really does go a long way. There's games he disappears. With Levine traded away, no Vooch, and if Giddy were to be out, you can't disappear there, Kobe. So he'd be taking a ton of shots. If all these guys are out, Herter included. Maybe Trey Jones becomes interesting. I actually think Herter, though, one of the more interesting value plays if he's in. He's been taking a ton of shots off the bench. With AO out, his minutes are kind of secure now. So I'm kind of hoping Herter is available. He will most certainly come off the bench. One of the better upside value plays that I don't think is getting much love. I got to double check the ownership. I'm sure he's over-owned now that I said that. 11 on DK, 5 on FanDuel. I like him still.
I'm way over this 11% on DraftKings
Oh, yeah,
for Werder. And
love
then
it.
I'm getting to a decent amount of Lonzo Ball showing up as a really good points per dollar value. I still question the ceiling, but at 4,700, it's more attainable. 16% ownership.
Yeah, I did just want to say he played 34 minutes against Toronto, which
Woo-wee.
is a big, big, big thing for him. I talked about Kobe White. I mean, Ball would be another guy to see a huge boost here if Giddy were to sit. I like him either way. I feel better about Ball than Nemhard, and he's lower owned, I think. So, yeah, I'm fine getting to a lot of Lonzo.
And then if Giddy plays for 8,400, I mean, Brunson's up here at 8,800, but Giddy's one of the best plays on the slate for his price. All these guys are more expensive than him. He
Mhm.
stands out really well, projected for under 10% ownership. I know it's a really tough matchup, but if we're jamming Cleveland, we probably want to get Chicago's best player because he's the guy who's going to have the biggest impact on keeping the game close.
Yep, definitely.
Let me do a quick model refresh. We got Philadelphia here, though. Paul George questionable, Quentin Grimes questionable, Justin Edwards questionable, Kelly Oubre probable, and then you guys know everyone was out before, but Maxi's out today. He hurt his hand, or his hand was already hurt. Maybe he hurt something else yesterday, but either way, Andre Drummond's the big talking point here. 7.5 DK value, 8.8 OF index, 21% ownership at 5K. I'm over this 21%. What do you want to do with Drummond today?
Yeah, I mean, I like him a lot on DK. On FanDuel, where you only have one center, I still kind of like him. I'm not as bullish over there. But yeah, I think he's going to be involved here. Even with Gobert out, the Timberwolves play pretty big. Nas, Randall's back. So there's plenty of reason to keep him on the floor. I feel better if one of like Grimes or George are out. Honestly, I know we have no more Maxi, but Oubre is returning to the lineup, a guy who does usually command at least 20% usage. So something to keep an eye on. But yeah, I think he's good. I think he's still underpriced. Some risk in his minutes, but I think since they finally shut Embiid down for the season, they're going to continue going to him, and he'll probably get pretty consistent run, 25 to 30.
Anything with Yabusele just before we go to the other players?
I mean, if George or Grimes are out, I could see getting to him. I really don't have much interest. Yesterday against Portland, 7.7% usage rate. Obviously, a one game sample, but just not the type of player I'm ever really interested in unless there's a few more guys out. But not someone who's really benefiting much with Maxi being out, in my opinion.
Yeah, we talk about like pivots off the chalk. Drummond's not that chalky, and I just think you avoid the situation if you don't want to play Drummond. But we did just get news that Werder, Ball, and Giddy are all out, like literally 5 seconds after we stopped talking about them. So we'll jump back to Chicago. That was fun. Grimes showing up top value. I don't feel great about it, but the ownership's pretty low, and the model's telling us his 6K price is still probably underpriced for him. Kelly Oubre is going to be the tournament shop, but the model's off him today. The model's been pretty good about telling us when to play Kelly Oubre, so I'm less interested than usual today. And I hate Paul George, so I'm not doing anything else. Jeff Doughton, I'm looking at Jeff Doughton. I saw him the other day. He's projected for 4% ownership. I'm more interested in him than any of these other guys down here.
Man, Dallin's going to get some love. I wish they'd just start Jared Butler, super
Yep.
talented guard.
Yeah. He's their best
And
guy to get in here. Do you think he gets run?
I don't know. Like, it's impossible to project him. Lonnie Walker played 28 minutes yesterday, too.
Yeah, he had a good
So I'm
game.
kind of off Downton. Like, I'd rather mix in these guys if I was playing 150. Like, I don't know that Downton even has much of a ceiling at 3,200. So I love Butler, but you can't really project him minutes confidently. If he were to suddenly start, he'd be my highest owned play on the slate.
So it kind of looks like we are going to get some value from these later games. So probably like what we were talking about, kind of holding off on those earlier games. Like get to the stud, sure, but for the value spots, we're definitely going to get some guys on Chicago, and I think there's a couple risky plays to take on Philly. Not like bona fide plays, but if any of these guys start Doughton or Butler, yeah, if one of them pulls a random start, Lonnie Walker, they're all cheap, and we'll take risks there. Ricky Council's here too.
Yeah.
It is a tough matchup against Minnesota. They're 15-point dogs. Minnesota's 15-point favorites, I should say, against the battered Philadelphia team, as it is right now. So, I mean, Philly sucks, but I wonder if that means Vegas thinks everyone misses anyway. What do you want
Yeah,
to do? Go ahead.
go ahead. No, I was gonna say I think they could be resting some guys on the back to back, especially with Oubre available. Like we could see George or Grimes sit.
So we got Julius Randle, who made his return last time. He did well for the price. He's probably underpriced if he's actually going to play 32 minutes. Models identifying him as a really good value. Naz Reid is losing a little bit of his shine, still projected for modest ownership. Ant Edwards, good pay up. Model thinks he's fine. So are you looking at anything on Minnesota?
I think everyone you just said is kind of viable. Again, still no Gobert, so even with Randall back, Reed's going to start and be kind of appealing. The price on McDaniels is tough, but he's been hitting it pretty consistently, and Edwards is Edwards. I think all the starters are fine. DiVincenzo coming off a massive game where he hit 8 threes off the bench. I think you can mix him as a value piece as well. Definitely prefer him over Alexander Walker. I think as long as both Conley and DiVincenzo are available, it's going to be tough to get to guys like Alexander Walker. Terrence Shannon's probably not even the rotation anymore, so keep that in mind. I know he's been popular value recently. But yeah, I think Randall's underpriced. He's probably going to come up to around 7K after a few games. But again, if this game has blowout potential, it's not the fastest pace. It's tough to feel great about these guys where they're priced, but I do think they're all at least worth discussing a little bit. They're definitely fine in tournaments.
Yeah, Julius is a guy I think here that's going to be a wrench for a lot of people because I have a feeling he comes in like he's at least going to come in at this 28%. It's just the price is incorrect. He fits in too easily, and he played 34 minutes in the last game, so he's good to go. Yeah, there's blowout risk, but we don't have him projected to play 36, 37 minutes anyway. So if he loses his last 5 minute rotation, it's not a big deal. He's cheap.
Yeah, agreed.
Your Brooklyn Nets versus the Spurs. We got a close game here, 3-point spread. Yeah, go ahead, Nick. Take it away.
Yeah, instead of tanking like we should be, we're now fighting for the play-in, which is sickening. losing my mind over here. D'Lo's back tonight. Cam Thomas has been back. Cam Thomas's price on FanDuel, where he's only 5,500, is actually appealing. I don't think he gets over 26 minutes. He doesn't need to. Again, going back, he played. This is January into December, but 24 minutes against Orlando, 40 fantasy points. 21 minutes against Milwaukee, 40. You're looking for upside in tournaments. I think Cam Thomas makes a lot of sense at 5,500, even playing limited minutes and with D'Lo back. His usage is just going to remain ridiculous whenever he's on the floor. All he knows how to do is shoot. D'Lo's happy to play point guard. You can mix in D'Lo. I do think he's kind of underpriced. It's just tough to project his minutes first game back. Or yeah, it is first game back for him. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, Claxton's been playing really well. I think he's underpriced for what he can do. Fine getting to some Cam Johnson, pretty inconsistent. He's flashed the upside. No more Killian Hayes. That's over for now, unfortunately, for those who are fans of his. Day'Ron Sharp, probably not again with all these guys back. I think his minutes could be cut into a little bit. So, yeah, I like Cam on FanDuel. It's probably too expensive on DK, and I think Claxton's viable on both sites. That's pretty much it for me on Brooklyn.
Point out Cam Thomas, one of the strongest value plays on FanDuel today. 5,500 is just a misprice. We can get him at 9% ownership. On DK at 0%. I know Nick just said he's not great at 6,500, but 9.5 OF index.
He could get you 40.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he could get
when
you
he gets
40.
hot, man, it's unbelievable. He's a bucket.
It's a good play. We actually have some strong mid-range plays today, though, so not super necessary, but Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton are the two guys I'd be most interested in, and then, like I always have with Brooklyn, just take a couple percent shots on a couple of the other guys, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Cole Anthony got ruled out. They are starting. Corey Joseph is on the Magic. Is that Corey Joseph?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he is.
Why do they hate Anthony Black? He's their best point guard.
I think they like him running the second unit. That's the only explanation.
I suppose. Spur side of the game, though, De'Aaron Fox, he's still 16%, but 8,200. I want to take some shots there. Not quite at the 16%, though. Devin Vassell, Chris Paul, Keldon Johnson, Stephon Castle. Some guys to mention here. Who do you want to talk about the most? Or who are you getting?
Yeah, I mean, Fox has been pretty terrible, but I think he's still underpriced, especially on DK for what he's capable of. Those first few games that Wemby went down, he was like 60, 50% owned on every slate. He just hasn't been shooting that well, so no one's going to him. His price actually came down on FanDuel. He was pushing 10K those first few games. So I think he's a great tournament play here. Fine mixing him in. Paul, tough to trust right now. Stephon Castle, obviously front runner for rookie of the year, 3 straight games over 40 fantasy points. I think he's excellent off the bench here. Pretty good matchup for him. Don't really have much interest in anything in the front court. Biombo's been starting. The minutes have been inconsistent. Keldon Johnson, though, again, on a slate where we're not playing a ton of good forwards, especially cheap, I think he's someone worth mixing in. So, yeah, if I'm getting to anything here, I like the bench guys. It's Fox on DK, but then I do like Castle and Johnson coming off the bench. I think this is a good spot. They both have upside point per dollar.
So Castle is the guy who's just really hard to project right now because I thought it was kind of bad that he came in at 10% owned last time, but he played 32 minutes. He shot 12 for 21. He's been very aggressive. He's the best rookie in the NBA to me. Sorry, Jared McCain, but you haven't played in 3 months. But like, is this too much now? 6,100. He's been doing it for 3 games. Obviously, he's not going to do this every game, but like, what kind of shots can we take on Stephon Castle? He's projected for 3 and 4% ownership.
Well, that's your answer. No one's playing him, so you could just put him in a few lineups, and you're already taking a little bit of a stand. I think it's a stand worth taking. Like, I wouldn't go super heavy. Like, 20% is probably way too much, but yeah, I think someone you could get to 10, 15 and feel good about.
Oh, you think 20% is too much, Castle?
Is that what you have?
No,
Well,
not
fine
quite.
with it.
Not quite. I do think I'll end up into double digits though. I want to see what else opens up because if nothing else, this game starts after Philadelphia, Chicago, Cleveland starts. So if you
Yeah.
go into lock with a bunch of Castle, his price point and position, you there will be swaps, so you're not stuck with it.
Yeah, Castle, Keldon, I'd go in with a ton of them because if you're stuck with them, you're going to feel fine. Vassell's underpriced too. I mean, he
He
just
is, yeah.
hasn't been shooting well. Yeah, so if you build around those three, you're going to have a lot of flexibility if things do change. But if you're landing on them against the Nets, I don't think it's the end of the world. It should be a competitive game.
Kuzma's in. Cleveland's going to win by 30. It's possible. Jose was asking if Tari Eason's going to start. It's probably Jabari Smith, but if Tari Eason starts, he might be my highest exposed player, and I'm going to have a bunch of him either way off the bench.
Yeah.
Lopez, assuming that's Brooke Lopez, yeah, we like taking shots on him at center. Jerome from Cleveland should play good minutes even in blowout. So I don't think he gets that super blowout minutes. Like if they're up the
Eventually,
entire,
Porter comes in. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
but he's kind of like Pritchard. Like he'll play more than the other starters.
And the big thing is they closed with him in the overtime game last time, him and Hunter. So we've known by now they have no problem benching a starter to keep Jerome in the game. It's usually Jared Allen, but Jared Allen can't really get benched. I mean, I guess he could get benched. It's unlikely though.
Yeah, it's kind of tough with Mobley out.
Thugga, I'm going to flash the DK percentages while Nick tells us about. I think you mentioned you like Trey Jones earlier, right? Since the Bulls are missing three guards.
If he starts, I feel better about it. I mean, more than anything now, I think we're getting more Kobe White, but again, it's just not the best matchup. But yeah, Trey Jones, really cheap. Another guy who, even if this game were to get out of hand, should get decent run. Um, Last year when he was on the Spurs, I was like, why is he not playing point guard? So it's been a while since we've seen him really get enough run to be viable, but I think he's talented. I like him. He's someone I'm pretty comfortable mixing in his value, and I definitely could see him starting here alongside Kobe White. I'm gonna have to wait and see on that, but yeah, Herder's out and Ball's out. Um, I don't know. Are we gonna see Dalen Terry today?
Probably.
I never feel good about him. Horton Tucker maybe gets run. Never feel good about him. Javon Carter exists. I think they're fine just leaving him out. But yeah, keep it on the starting lineup. I'll feel better about Jones if he starts. If he does, I do think he's very appealing as value, and he could play even if this game were to get out of hand.
Real quick, we just got news. Dante DiVincenzo will remain on a minutes restriction. I don't think it matters too much. We don't have him projected for that many minutes anyway. But I see a question in the chat. Is it viable to fade the first two games? I pulled up everyone from the first two games by DK value. I mean, some owned guys here. I don't know that you want a full fade, but if you want to get less, I don't hate it. I mentioned I do like Pirtle as a 1% play. Nemhard, Tari Eason both look great to me. I guess Cole Anthony's still in here, so we'll see how that updates.
Yeah, I like Eamon a lot. You could if you're only playing a lineup or two, but yeah, I think some of these like more expensive plays in these games have upside, especially now with like no point guards for Orlando. We could see more point fronts. Um, yeah, I think some of the pay ups here are appealing. I like your total call at 1%, but there's no like must play core play type guys. Nemhard
Yep.
to me is super overowned.
Yeah, Nemhard even you can. There's now we have a lot of pivots, so it's not hard to get away. I didn't realize how owned the Clippers are over on FanDuel. So we're done with DraftKings. They cut off the last two games. FanDuel has these last two. We got five Clippers pulling 20+%, three of them 30 plus. This seems insane to me. Bogdan Bogdanovic is 38% owned. The others I don't have as much of a problem with, but yeah, tell us about the Clippers, Nick.
Yeah, so Powell's out and Derek Jones Jr. is out, so we're
Yeah,
probably going to see Bogdan starting at the wing, and I think he's fine. I mean, he's so cheap that the upside's just there.
it sucks.
Filling in for Powell. More than anything, it does probably benefit Kawhi and Zoo, though. So I do like them. But yeah, Chris Dunn's been playing enough minutes to be viable, consistently hitting value, especially on FanDuel where you're getting the points for the stocks. I think all the starters look good here. You can make a case for any of them. I'm with you, though. I do think Bogdan's probably overowned.
Yeah, how much dude, 36%. I get he's 9200. It's an appealing price, but if we just look at how the model is evaluating the value today, I mean there's a lot of other plays that we can get to other than James Harden. It just the ownership seems high. I don't think he's a bad play. It's just way over owned, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I'm
Although
looking at the model now. Trey Jones right up there.
oh, things you love to see, dude. Yeah, Zach Collins, Kobe White, Trey Jones. Models is still crunching. These are not going to be straight up the four best plays on the slate, but they're very good. So take that as directionally accurate. And Cam Thomas, actually, yeah, FanDuel, that's a core play, I think, for us.
Yeah, man. Love it. That's my guy.
Anything else you wanted to mention about Clippers? I know we didn't spend too much time on them already.
Not really. I mean, Coffee's been okay off the bench. We have enough other value, though.
Zubac, I like, but I don't like the 19%. I think there's some other good centers we can get to today.
Yeah, there's a lot of good centers.
Not
I
full
agree.
fading, but rather find some other options. And then, as much ownership as this game is pulling, why is Phoenix so under owned, dude?
Because Beal's back and they're all kind of overpriced now. I think that's the biggest issue.
So,
They have Beal, Allen, and O'Neal all healthy. Tyus Jones goes back to the bench. So you're getting Booker, Beal, and Durant starting next to each other with Bol Bol. So, like, the usage is just all over the place.
do you want to get to anybody here?
I think they're all fine to take shots on, but again, it's like almost a Celtic situation now, where like you probably have one guy go for 50. Which one is it going to be? You don't really know. It does hurt Bol a lot. I don't know if he's going to continue to be the great play he has been, but as long as he's starting, I mean, you can mix him in. Just keep in mind, I mean, the bench goes deep here now with O'Neal, Allen, both healthy.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much to elaborate there. Excuse me. Last game of the night, we do have the Pelicans versus my Lakers. I kind of like this game. New Orleans is pulling 4%, 5% total ownership on their whole team. The model is not identifying really anyone except Kelly O as a good play, and Kelly O is up to 5,600 on FanDuel. Even for DK night slate, like these are kind of just tournament shots to me, but what do you think?
I still like Kelly O. I'd still be playing a bunch of him as long as he's going to continue to start. He's just doing a lot when he's on the floor, even next to Zion and Missy. So he's the guy for me. McCollum probably going to start at the point. I think him, Trey Murphy, Zion all fine. Again, Zion not playing as many minutes as these other guys, but he did get over 30 finally against Phoenix, had that huge game, and I
Did he?
guess Utah pushed 30. So his upside is there. So you can make a case for, I think, any of the starters. Tough for me to ever get to Missy just because the minutes are so inconsistent. Maybe on the late slate where you have less options, he's fine. But I do like all the starters. Not as interested anymore in the likes of Hawkins, Brown, Alvarado, though. Brandon Boston's back in the rotation. He's going to cut into their upside. And again, this team's a little bit healthier than they have been.
I want to point this out. Like I say it not to be funny, but it's real. Like Missy is usually the top of value every day, right? His price only came up $200. It's a 1 point spread and a high total. I'm not joking. Jackson Hayes is one of the best rim defenders in the NBA. That's a real stat over since the trade. And so I don't think we don't want to target centers against him, but this is a day the model's telling us we don't have to play Missy. I'm going to listen and just check him out because I don't want to play him. But I'm okay taking those shots on Kelly. He has that power forward eligibility. And then the DK night slate, I'll probably have a ton of Kelly, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Last game or last team on the slate, my Lakers. We got Gabe Vincent, 16.9 DK value. Remember that for DK night slate, but these guys are pulling a ton of ownership over on FanDuel still. So, I mean, I'm always going to be cool with LeBron and Luca, but beyond them, what are you looking at here?
Yeah, so the big thing is Reeves is out. Obviously, that's significant. Finney Smith's going to start probably with Vincent. They're both just cheap. They work as value. I do think they're overowned, though. 20% for Finney Smith, 25% for Hayes, where you only have one center, seems
Oh, it's really
insane
bad.
to me.
Oh,
And
it's
I'm like
super
the
bad.
leader of the Jackson Hayes fan club. Like, that is not good. Vincent, too. I mean, he's cheap. You can mix him in, but like, all these guys feel overowned as more value opens up. But in that same breath, I do think we see these percentages go down as some of these Bulls and other teams start to climb.
Yeah, I mean, I just told like 75 people that Jackson Hayes is one of the best rim defenders in the NBA. So take that what you will. But his ownership, it's just too high, man. 4,200 pay up at center. He gives you 24. That's a 6x. You're not going to win a tournament unless you get the nuts in every other spot, which is possible. It's just, I think we have better plays. A model is saying he has a good points per dollar value, though, projected for 25 minutes. It's just, does he actually play 25 minutes? He's not on DK. I can't check, but um,
Yeah, we have him for 25.5. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
and
feel good
then
about it.
And then for DK Night Slate, all these guys are showing up as strong value plays. Dalton Connect's the one that went off last time. He probably pulls most ownership. The price is good. But I'll probably just be mixing it up between them.
Yep. But yeah, just to kind of wrap the Lakers, I mean, LeBron's price on FanDuel still too cheap. I think he's excellent.
Yep. Yep. Uh, let's build a super quick dummy. You want to just rattle off your top guys?
Yeah, let me do a quick refresh just to make sure I have the right data.
Jared Allen, number one.
Yeah, let's go with Allen.
Who,
Um,
who from the
Skipping Nemhard.
Bulls?
I like Jerome too from Cleveland.
Yeah, let's do Jerome.
Um,
We don't have to do DeAndre Hunter, but keep him in mind for you folks at home.
yeah, I do like Hunter. I don't know,
Tr-
Drummond maybe.
Should we do Trey Jones too?
Yeah, let's do Trey. I
He's
mean, I
showing
like.
up as top of the
I think
model.
Jerome's safer. You can play both of them though.
I think we could play both. We'll try and fit him in. We have
Oh, let me get
7,500 for.
Giannis.
We'll get Giannis because we have all the value now. Anyone else on Chicago? The other guys showing up, Matos and Kobe
Kobe White.
White. Let's do
Yeah,
Kobe
I mean
White.
the blowout does scare me, but every time I'm scared of a blowout, it doesn't blow out. So take that for what it's worth. But I do think Kobe White is going to push 30% usage here. His upside at that price is kind of tough to match. So I do think he's a good play.
If a Kongwu had a power forward eligibility, I'd say we could throw him in at forward.
Yeah. We have Kobe White for 41 minutes right now. I don't know if that's going to hold up.
That's for no. These are for sure wrong, but he's going to be up here. They're not going to be 1, 2, 3 like this.
Hmm.
Uh, Julius Randle.
Yeah.
It
I
feels
mean, if
good
you
for
want
like.
Hunter, go Hunter.
All right, let's try Hunter. But the thing is, I don't like Jared Allen has to close, right? Because before I would worry that one of these guys would be benched if two of them are on the
Mm.
court, Jerome Hunter and Jared Allen. But we'll
I
throw
mean,
him in there.
Struz doesn't have to close.
I guess that's true. Yeah, they are down a guy. But makes it kind of weird with the salary.
You
DeAndre
can go
Hunter.
Randall. You can go Hunter. I think they're both good. I'm trying to look at other forwards. I mean, it's not a ton.
Yeah, I mean Vassal Hunter. Hunter's pretty good, but I mean something like this is probably what the model wants us to do today. Maybe switch up with the two centers, but Drummond and Allen are both very good center plays.
Hmm.
Jacoby Walter is starting. Power has negative 1,000%.
I expected him to start for Grady.
Yeah, I said for cash, I would just honestly, this is fine. These are all model approved guys near the top anyway. Chuck, that's I said Jerome into house. Watch him mouth. Chuck, that's from Martin. Appreciate you letting me know and assuming that Nick knew. It's probably pretty accurate. But Nick, any final words before we get out of here? We're running over time.
No, just keep an eye on the lineups and the injuries, and yeah, guys. Hopefully, no bad injuries tonight. Let's keep things safe and healthy. I don't know. Good
We
luck.
yeah, let's just stay safe. We appreciate all you guys tuning in. Hit the like and subscribe on your way out. Join the Discord. Smitty is doing the Discord Q&A right now. It probably already started, so jump in there and get some